Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Today's guest is an incredibly talented singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and producer based in London. He's got 2 new songs called How Can You Tell That You Love Her and Get Her Off of My Mind off of his upcoming debut album, Myrtle Soup. Before we get the episode started, please make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And on that note, please welcome John Myrtle. Well, I'm sitting here with John Myrtle from London, UK. Thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. I understand you have 2 new singles that have come out in the last couple of months. How Can You Tell That You Love Her and Get Her Off of My Mind, which are both really catchy, jangle pop, kind of reminiscent of the Beatles or the Kinks era type music. And they're off of your debut album coming out soon, Myrtle Soup. Great name for an album. And I was reading that you went to a studio to record How Can You Tell That You Love Her? And it didn't quite turn out exactly the way that you wanted. So you went and bought a tape machine and recorded it in your apartment. So I just wanted to ask, what was kind of the difference between recording it in the studio and recording it in your bedroom?
I came from just knowing about studios, and it was always growing up, if you were in a band, as small as it was, you'd always just book a day in a studio to record your music. But I mean, I don't know if it's just because we always chose bad studios, but it was always just I don't know. I just don't know if the guitar music that I like is well suited to very digitally focused music studios. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
I don't know. I kind of it was listening to bands like Ween, where I realized that their early records were done on cassette, and as I got older, I learnt about that, and I never realized that you could actually do that, as stupid as it sounds. So I don't know, it was around then I kind of decided to try out cassettes and tape machines, and I just think that for the music, my kind of music, the recording it on tape kind of just gives it a sound which just can't be achieved really with digital stuff, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny because I haven't really gotten into Ween, not because I don't like them, but I've always heard about them, and I just haven't taken the plunge into listening to them. And that I know what you mean when you say
there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that they're pretty out there with their recording techniques and things like that. But I know what you mean when you say that you didn't realize oh, I can do that. You feel oh, I have to go to a studio, I have to have an engineer help me out and do all these things for me. But if really the experimentation of it is where you find some of the coolest stuff.
Oh mate, I completely agree. I think if you go to a studio as well and there's someone who's there for the day to sort of assist you with the recording, you usually don't know these people if you're young and you're just trying out a studio. So I think that I don't know, it kind of sets you up to fail in some ways, because making music, I guess you kind of have to embarrass yourself to get good stuff, and I don't know if I like embarrassing myself in front of other people. So I quite like doing it on my own, just by myself, and then I can kind of, I don't know, sound really bad or make strange noises, and then the strange noises could turn out to be, oh, that's actually quite an interesting noise I've just made.
Yeah, that's true. I would record vocals in a closet by myself, and the idea of doing that shit in front of other people who are just paid to record people day in and day out who they don't know, and it's just a job to them, that sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I guess to want to record something in the closet, it's kind of the idea sounds fun, but maybe telling an engineer that you want to do something like that, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of sets up a pretense about yourself that you might not want if you just want to just experiment with something, it kind of like, oh, this guy wants to do this, but it's actually it's the best doing those kinds of things, I think. So yeah.
Not to mention you're paying literally by the hour to have the studio space. So there's not really like, unless you have loads and loads of cash either of your own or from a label, like you don't really have the luxury of just trying out experimentation for your recording, unless you're okay with spending that kind of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're paying by the hour for somewhere, I think there's always going to be a voice in your head that you have to hurry things up. Whereas if you're just at your house with your equipment, I guess like you've got all the time in the world to try stupid shit, I guess. So it's just more fun.
Absolutely. And it's funny because all the time in the world is a good thing. But at the same time, the flip side of that is you could spend way too long on shit that you don't really need to be worried about.
Yeah, I think we've all done that, haven't we? Just like trying to get a tone right or something.
Exactly. It's like at some point you just gotta cut it off and make it happen.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe why going to a studio does actually help. But I don't know.
Yeah, the grass is always greener. But I read that you bought a tape machine for this. And what was that process like? What was the trial and error of figuring out something like that?
I think, well, I used to have like a Zoom R8, like little 8-track thing. And I guess like I kind of took what I knew from this small little recorder to like a tape machine, and the fact that it has like 8 tracks, you just need a desk. But I mean, at the time when I got it, I didn't really know anything about I still don't, to be honest, but like sound going into the red and all that crap.
yeah
but I mean I've been told that it's actually all right on tape because it gives you that analog distortion, but I still don't even know what I'm talking about. But I think like it's just, I think for me it was good just having 8 tracks and like kind of working with those limitations. I think that if I was like recording with just on Logic, for example, I think that like I wouldn't know. I'm already quite disorganized as it is, so I think like something giving me limitations really helps me like be creative, because I mean even in lockdown I was using Logic just on its own, just for fun, and like some of the things I was doing had like 55 tracks which were all like unnamed and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think the limitations have like really helped me just personally because of my disorganized brain.
Yeah, I mean, going back to having like a time constraint, that can be helpful. I mean, I think it is nice to be able to, take your time, but at the same time, having those limitations can force you to think outside of the box. And it seems like having 8 tracks, it's like, well, what can we do with the little amount that we have, instead of just having unlimited things to use, and like so many, you can always layer all these things, and it's like you can get distracted by that kind of thing.
So true. Yeah. Exactly, man. It's distraction's the word. Yeah.
Did you do everything via tape, or did you transfer stuff to Logic and then work from there a little bit?
Yeah. So in the past, I used to do everything pretty much on tape, and then, before lockdown and things like that, I've worked with friends who kind of give the songs a little bit of a spruce on the old computer. But in lockdown, I was kind of doing it on my own. But yeah, usually what it would be is I'd record the majority of it, if not all of it, on tape, and then transfer it to Logic, and then sort of take it from there, really. But I was sending it just because like I'm always like a little bit like, I feel like maybe these things can still be like cleaned up or given just like a nice EQ of some sort, which I'm incapable of doing at the moment anyway. So I always kind of send it off to like friends of mine to kind of like give it a magic touch, if you know what I mean. But pretty much, I mean, my end, it's kind of just like getting it all on tape and having the song done there, and then I let other people do what the fuck they want to it.
Well, it's helpful to have a community of people that you trust that can add their own little touch to it. Because, it's hard to find someone who has your best interests and knows that, okay, this is their song and I'm just bringing something to it instead of trying to like take over.
Yeah, no, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. You. That's got to be the dynamic, I guess. I think with anyone with their own work, but I'm very lucky to have great friends who don't do that. So
in your point of view, what is, if anything, different about this upcoming debut album compared to your previous EP that you put out?
what's different about it?
Yeah, I mean, either the process of it, even just how you feel about it.
Sure. I think that, like, I mean, first of all, it was the thing being an album was kind of conceptualized in lockdown. So I think that, like, I mean, the name of the album is Myrtle Soup, and like, I kind of went for that because it's quite a homely title and homespun. I think, like, in terms of, I mean, I record my music at home anyway, but I think that, like, it was just quite interesting that, I mean, there are some songs, there's a song on the album which is all about kind of staying at home and, like, looking out the window. Essentially, that is what the song is about. And that was written before lockdown, but, like, it sort of, like, seems to make so much sense now. So I think that, like, the way, I think that it's kind of got more of a sort of theme running through it, even if it did come about from lockdown. But I mean, yeah, it's like my songs written at home sort of have sort of reflective or homely themes about them, and it's all sort of like packaged in a nice little thing.
Yeah, all of your songs seem to have such catchy melodies. Like, I mean, I heard How Can You Tell That You Love Her and Get Her Off of My Mind, and both songs, like, as soon as I was done, I still had the melodies stuck in my head, like, off of one listen. And I just think not only do you have such a knack with producing your music, but songwriting is clearly, at the forefront of what sounds like John Myrtle to me. So have you had any songwriting, like, breakthroughs of your own, or like challenges that you kind of overcame over the years?
Any songwriting challenges that I think that, like, let me think about that. It's interesting.
Maybe another way of phrasing it could be like tips and tricks for somebody who is maybe stuck.
Sure. I think usually my songs are, like, as you say, quite like tune driven. So for me, like, the focus is like having a very, like, solid melody, and I guess, like, you could take inspiration from a lot of places for that. But I think like, it's always good to, I think a good song should always have, like, a strong theme about it running through. And I think with my songs, like, I think some of the struggles with me is that, like, I can write a lot of songs, but usually, like, the ones I sort of go for and I'm confident about are the ones which have, like, have a strong theme and kind of start immediately with a strong theme. So, like, I guess with both those songs you mentioned, like, Get Her Off My Mind, like, the title is in, like, the first 2 lines, and then How Can You Tell If You Love Her, that's immediately, like, the theme is at the start, so you kind of understand. For a listener's point of view, you get what the song's about immediately. And I guess maybe not everyone does it like that, and there is something to be said about an idea kind of blooming in a song. But I think the way I write, and for this album in particular, it's sort of like, I like strong themes coming in quickly.
Yeah, you just let the listener know right off the bat what you're getting into instead of kind of dancing around these subjects, which totally fine. But to me, that's what's so catchy about it. I mean, the melodies, of course, are what's really catchy, but you're right about, that theme. And are there any artists that you in particular look up to for how they write songs?
Oh yeah, man. Of course. I'm a big fan of the Lars, which are like a Liverpool band from the '90s, and they did There She Goes. I'm sure you know There She Goes.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was in like it's in a bunch of films, but
Oh yeah, like there she goes again. Oh,
yeah, that's it.
they're from the '90s.
'80s and '90s, yeah.
Wow, that sounds like such
yeah.
an older song to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's but I'm inspired by them particularly because they're from Liverpool, and they took, I guess, like the sound of the Beatles and the '60s thing, and they kind of, I mean, the record that came out it's so like, well, it's timeless in its own way, but it was so modern at the time, and I just really like the idea of like taking the history of that kind of music and kind of repackaging it in like in a modern way, I guess. So people still call you a '60s guy, but it's kind of your own thing as well. So I'm inspired by them, and I guess what else do I like? I like a lot of like cassette indie bands as well, like C86 and all that stuff. But like, yeah, as you say, the Kinks. I'm a huge Kinks fan. As a side note, I happened to meet Ray Davies of the Kinks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when I first moved to London, and I was doing like every week I was doing these sort of like acoustic gigs at this pub, just doing loads of covers for like 3 hours, which was really great. But one time I left this pub like fairly late at night, and it was this empty street, and Ray Davies was just there, and I obviously stopped him and said hello, but he could see I had a guitar on my back, and he asked what I did. I said, "Oh, I've actually just been playing your songs at this like pub." And he pats me on the back and goes, "Keep it up," and then he literally fucking vanishes into the night.
Wow.
So, I know, it was spooky, but I felt like that was like, a weird calling for me personally. So yeah, I like the Kinks.
Almost like an apparition just coming in and letting you know this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
we're like, wait, did that even happen?
Yeah, it was genuinely like that. And then I called up a bunch of people on my phone saying I just met Ray Davies, and no one cared.
That's even better.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the Kinks, obviously. But as I say, I mean, like, they're obviously like, I guess, a staple of like British music, but very much in the past. But it's nice to sort of take those things and sort of apply it to now. And I don't know if I do that, like, if I do that intentionally, but I think like just being here in the now and not trying to make something a pastiche means that, I don't know, I can kind of get away with it.
Right. I've always felt, well, not always, but within the last few years, I've gone back to the Beatles, and they, for me, kind of are always like, a breath of fresh air when I go back, because I'm reminded of how incredible all of their songs are and how different they are, and how each album, like Revolver, each song is so different from the other. I can get stuck on the same certain chords I always play when I pick up the guitar, and the certain themes I use. And when I go back to them, I'm reminded, in particular with Revolver, each song is so different from the next, and yet it all works together. And to me, like, they just remind me of how I feel like a song should convey a theme, like the way yours have. And how it's just catchy off the bat. I mean, they have some ones that are weirder and not as immediately catchy, but by the end of the song, you still remember it. And I don't know, to me, that's something I want to always strive for when it comes to songwriting.
Yeah. It's I agree with the fresh air thing. It's always good to sort of, draw from those things which have like they're not really connected to, I don't know, music now, and it's kind of like just taking from a bygone era and making it your own. Speaking of Revolver, I'm pretty sure like there's a riff or two on this album that I've ripped off from Revolver, so it's funny like Revolver.
Oh, well, don't worry, I'll edit that part out so no one knows. I'm just kidding, but no, I mean, how many people like straight up copy Beatles things? Like that's just how it goes. They have so much that you can pick and choose from. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Oh, exactly, man. The Beatles are in the public domain now. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah. And yet they're the band with probably like the tightest copyright shit.
Oh,
ever.
mate, I know, yeah. I probably shouldn't fuck with that, but there you go.
That's all right. I also saw that you have a show coming up on June 21st at Shacklewell Arms, and you said it was like your first show in a while. So how are you feeling going into it?
I'm very excited, man. I'm sure it's gonna be. It's like sold out, but it's sold out in like a COVID socially distanced way. So there's like, at the moment there's like seating.
Right.
You know, I'm probably like a fucking waiter. I don't know. But, like, but we'll see. Like if it stops being that, because it's the first day, the 21st of June, it's supposed to be in England, the first day where, you know, you can go to nightclubs and it not be socially distanced. So I think the promoters have just done it as like protocol, like made it socially distanced. So hopefully it won't be, and we can all have a good piss up and all the rest of it. But I'm sure it'll be good either way. But yeah, the seated thing's funny. It's funny, man.
Yeah, that is interesting. But you're gonna do a great job. Do you have any pre or post show rituals when you are playing live?
I definitely don't drink any alcohol. I drink water.
Before?
No, I can't.
What about after?
Yeah.
You got to celebrate. But that's a good call. That's absolutely a good call.
Well, when I've done it before, I don't know, I just end up like slurring my words even more than I do now. And like, do you know what I mean? It's like messy.
I've made the excuse that I'm like, oh, give me a little loosened up, and then you're up there and you're like, oof. Like
too loose.
You watch that video back and you're like, yikes, this was not what I thought.
Yeah, you always think you're kind of tearing the house down, and then you watch it back and you're like, oh my god, people must have thought I was a bit of a wreck. But yeah, have you played in London yourself?
Oh no, I've actually never been to London. I would love to go at some point, but obviously right now in the world, probably not the best time, but maybe like by the end of the year or next year. I've always wanted to go. It just seems like such an interesting place.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. It's good. It's good fun.
Have you ever been over to the States?
No, man. I really want to. Yeah, I've got to go. It's like I've seen it too much in films. Do you know what I mean? To like
right.
It's even my friends who have been, because you're in LA, right?
I actually moved to Atlanta, like that's my hometown. I moved back here probably almost maybe a month ago now. So I'm really happy to be here and not paying LA rent. It's
oh my god, yeah,
incredibly expensive. I'm sure London is kind of the same.
Oh yeah, of course. It's a drag, but it's nice. It's worth being. It's worth being it. I'm from a place called Birmingham originally, so for lockdown I've pretty much been there for like months and months and months and months and months, but I've come back now.
Was it nice to be home?
Yeah, I did a lot. I did some of the recording of this album at home, so I think it helped that homely mood I was talking about. But yeah, it was nice, you know. Saw the parents, watched a lot of westerns.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, then you got to go to Texas or something when you come out here.
Exactly, man. Don't know what I'm doing with my life, you know. Just watching it all on film.
Well, don't worry. You'll make it out here at some point. Do you have a city you really want to check out or a state?
Oh, LA, man.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's such a boring answer, isn't it?
No. It's just funny for me because now I've come from there and I was there for 5 years. So I have a different opinion of it now, but I have to remember, I'm like, I mean, I moved there after high school, and I was so excited, and I vacationed there before that, and I was very excited, and so it's just different once you live somewhere for so long. Like, I'm sure you had some idea of what London was like before you went, and then you know, now you've been there for a certain amount of time, and you see the reality of certain things, and it's just different.
It's just, yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, your relationship completely changes, doesn't it? And it's just like, yeah, you're just like that, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen anywhere you go, you know.
Yeah,
that's not
exactly.
just particular to that, but LA is a great place. The beaches are awesome. The weather is always nice. So you can't really be mad about that.
Have you found, has your writing changed since you've moved home?
That's an interesting question. I have written one song since I've been back, and it was like the second day I got here. And I would say that song is kind of like a natural progression from the last couple that I've written and recorded and produced but have not come out yet, where they're a little bit more kind of like similar to what we've been talking about, where it states a theme a little bit like earlier. Like, I think I've had songs where it's easier to just write about more general things and use words that I think are pretty and that do sort of tell a story, but now it's getting a little bit more theme driven, and they feel, I don't know, to me a little bit more cohesive. So hopefully I'm just, you know, working on that muscle and continuing to do that. But doing this podcast has been what's really taken up a lot of time, and you know, I'm not mad about it, because I'll try to write, you know, I'll like be like, all right, I got 30 minutes or an hour, let me just try to write something, and I'll like do a few chords. I'm like, man, fuck this, like I got nothing coming to me. It's hard to like really get yourself into the right mindset.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's kind of like writer's block stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like that a lot, man.
How do you get through that?
Mate, it's very difficult to get through that. Very difficult. I think, like, yeah, it's that. I think it's just going through with it. I think the problem is, like you've just said, you've got a few chords and then you're like, oh, fuck that. It's kind of, I'm like that all the time. And I guess the way to do it, which is, I don't do this myself, but I know for a fact that, like, you just finish it. And then I guess, like, even if it sucks, which a lot of them have done for me, it's like, at least you finished it, and then maybe the next one will be good. But the thing is, like, if you know it's going to suck anyway from the start, and you're just trying to finish it to begin with, it's like, what's the point?
I definitely think, yeah, grounding yourself in a theme helps. Or grounding yourself, have you heard of oblique strategies?
Hang on, is this Brian Eno?
Yes, yes.
They're the cards. Yeah,
the cards.
Mate, hang on. Those fucking cards. Like, when I had writer's block, a mate recommended oblique fucking strategies to me, and it was like, you know, I didn't buy them because they were like 200 quid.
Yeah, you just got the app.
Yeah, I got a PDF.
Oh, okay, the PDF.
And, yeah, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, think of a cloud. It's not gonna fucking help me write a song, Brian Eno. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like play this. I don't know. Play this while like standing on tiptoes, with like a fucking with a silly hat on, is also not gonna help me write a fucking song.
Yeah, I just for fun I did one because I have the app on my phone. You know.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
But I didn't do it with music. For some reason, I was like, let me see what I think of with an interview, you know, because I have notes and stuff. And I don't know, like, you know, it was interesting because it was like, what are the sections between the sections? Think of a caterpillar moving. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe they work though.
I think they work in certain circumstances. I would definitely not, you know, put it as like I have to rely on this thing in order to write something. But if you're stuck like with like what should the next section be, I think it can help.
No, I'm sure it's got its place, doesn't it? And I'm sure he's made a few quid because
Yeah.
I mean, like he's capitalizing on people having writer's block, and everyone has fucking writer's block. So
Exactly.
we should do our own one. I don't know.
There you go. And it could be like way more cynical.
Yeah, give up. That's the
Like,
first card.
have you tried not writing like shit? You're like, I haven't tried not writing like shit. Let me try that.
Oh, brilliant.
All right, John. Well, that's going to take us over to the last 5 here, where I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions and we'll be done.
Go on, man.
All right, number 1, in the studio or playing live?
Playing live.
Yeah, I'm sure not having done it in so long, you're itching to get back out there.
Absolutely. And yeah, it takes on its own, in the studio or whatever you want to say, like I'm on my own. It's all very sort of, isolating. Live, I'm with a bunch of my friends playing my music and with the crowd. It's great.
Yeah, you got to love that immediate gratification.
Yeah, man. Nothing better.
Question number 2 is, what to you is a perfect album front to back?
Perfect album front to back. It's Water Pistol by Shaq.
Water Pistol by Shaq. Like Shaq the basketball player? I was like, wow, did he just reference Shaq?
No.
I've never heard of Shaq, so it's like, that
check it
can't.
out.
Okay.
It's good, man.
What, like, era is that?
It's Liverpool again, the 90s. Okay. Like, I'm telling you, man, that stuff's gold.
Got
it's
you.
Cool.
All right. Is it similar to The Laws in a way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very it's very mysterious. It's written by a very eccentric man called Michael Head, who has always been like a songwriting hero of mine, and he's a quirky guy, and I had the pleasure of me and my band, we supported him.
Oh wow!
A few months, last year before COVID, which was great. It was weird, one of those maybe shouldn't meet your heroes type things, but I don't know. It was good. It was cool. Check it out. Brilliant.
Question number 3 is, who's your dream artist or producer to work with?
Dream artist. Dream artist or producer to work with. Oh God, this is such. I'm on the spot. Who am I going to say? I feel like I could give obvious answers.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly name a few also.
I can name a few. Lee Mathers from the Lars. The person I just said, Michael Head from Shaq. Margot Gurrian, who's like a female 60s person who I love. And I've got her on Facebook. How cool is that?
Very nice.
Who else? That's a tough one, man. Oh God, who else? I could say that. Jesus.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Who else? Gandhi. All the greats.
You've probably been the first person to say Jesus and or Gandhi on this show. So you get the you get it when he comes back,
Oh yeah.
He goes to you. He's like, "Look, John, I got an idea for a song."
Sorry, man. My schedule's a bit busy this week, Jesus. But how about
we'll see. Maybe we could squeeze you in. I don't know.
Try to squeeze you in.
So question number 4 is, what's on your musical rotation right now?
My musical rotation. I've been over lockdown. I got into Steely Dan quite a lot.
Oh, nice. I just listened to their first album front to back yesterday.
Oh, mate, yeah, that's great. What's weird about that is like that's the one I haven't got because over lockdown I was just kind of getting a bit weird and just buying loads of random shit, and Steely Dan was some of them. But the first one, I went to a record shop last week and they had it, and then I left the record shop to get a sandwich. I came back and it'd been sold, and I was like, oh no way, that's so annoying. And I went into another one the same day and they also had it, and then I took a call outside being like, oh yeah, it's not gonna, and they got fucking sold again.
Bro.
Twice, same day. So I don't know if like I'm not supposed to hear that album.
Yeah, it's the universe telling you like, just don't listen to it.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's weird.
One day it'll come to you when you're ready, apparently.
No, yeah, exactly. What else? I've got my record. I was listening to J.J. Cale last night. That was cool.
I know that name, but I'm not familiar with the music.
It's like very, very laid back, like blues music, but it's kind of done really cool. It's like it's like a drum machine and shit on there. Like that. It's
interesting.
Cool.
Okay, I'll check him out. Is it a guy, girl?
It's a guy. Yeah, he's pretty old now. I don't know. Yeah, he's cool.
Oh, okay, gotcha. J.J. Cale. I've got a lot of good stuff to listen to. Shaq, not the basketball player.
Not the basketball player, although I don't know. Maybe he is making albums now. Seems to...
Yeah, well, he was rapping back in the day.
Oh, was it? Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, you should look up Shaq rapping live. Like it's hilarious because I mean, just like any other rapper, he's on stage with a couple other guys and a DJ, but he's fucking enormous. So it's just the funniest picture, and he's going for it too. Like he's not, he's not just like a celeb that went in to see how it goes. Like he's going hard.
Yeah, Shaq's gonna do that, isn't he? Gotta love him.
I'd like to see him put out an indie pop record or something. Last question is, what is your favorite decade of music?
My favorite decade of music. It's very obvious, man, but it's just the 60s. So there you go.
Yeah. I was thinking 60s. You mentioned 90s a lot.
Yeah, maybe the 90s actually. I'm gonna say the 90s. There you go.
There you go.
If I say the 60s, then I'm just gonna be that 60s guy doing this and nothing.
Right. You gotta keep the crowd guessing.
Yeah. No, 90s. Great music. Love it. Also, it seemed on video, it seemed like London was a great place to be. It seems a bit fucking bleak now, but on that film camera, TV footage, looks amazing. But it's not like that now, I'll tell you. But there you go.
There you go.
The past. Yeah.
Well, John Myrtle, thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note. I really appreciate you coming on, talking about your creative process behind your 2 new singles, How Can You Tell That You Love Her and Get Her Off My Mind, off your upcoming debut album, Myrtle Soup. Everyone needs to go check it out. And if you are in London, go see John Myrtle June 21st at Shacklewell Arms.
That's it, man. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Dude, thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, mate. My pleasure, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. See ya. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time. And if someone should